If you're new to fighting games and you don't know what the hell to do, you click on the right video. It can feel like you're years behind with everyone else talking about combos, 2Hs, plus on block, frame advantage, and all this unnecessary confusing information. But to be honest, getting into a fighting game is so much easier than they make it seem, and I'm gonna show you how with today's video. If you were just trying to get into the genre, the best advice I can give you is just play whatever game looks cool. Don't worry about how many players are on it. There's always a community for every fighting game, so if this game speaks to you, just pick it up. Whether it's Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, it doesn't matter. Once you've got your feet wet in the genre, you can always just transition to whatever other game you want with the basic knowledge you've developed through this video. Now that you've chosen your favorite game and you understand that, it's time to choose your favorite character. My mistake I made when I was starting off with fighting games was going on tier lists and checking who's the coolest. I was wondering, is Soul the best? Is maybe Chip the best? And then you find out that the character that was speaking to you turns out to be a low tier. Don't make this mistake. If they look cool, just choose them. That is the best way to learn. If you end up choosing a top tier character who's top tier because they have a lot of cheesy and boring moves, you're just gonna hate the game and burn yourself out. But if you choose the coolest character with the swaggiest moves, then why wouldn't you like the game? So now that you've chosen your character, it's time to learn the fighting game language. Have you ever searched up a tutorial or you asked a friend how to play and they tell you, hey bro, hit a 2-3-6-8, and you're like, huh? Or a 6S, and you're like, what? Can you speak English? You expect them to say maybe forward circle or forward square. If you wonder why that isn't the case, it's because fighting games are used with a lot of different inputs, with older players primarily using fighting sticks like the ones you find in arcades. Newer players are just people that prefer a pad, like a pad is the Xbox controller or the PlayStation controller. It's all up to preference. However, there is no universal best input, which is why people have developed the Numpad notation. Now it might seem very confusing at the start, but it is actually very easy to understand. If you look on the right here, I've got it displayed alongside my controller. You'll see 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3. The most common input you're gonna hear is 5, and that is just being neutral. So if I stand here and I do a S, which is my triangle button, if I do a forward S, or if I do an S up here, this is what he'll get. If I do a forward S from maybe here, you know, I'll get something else, right? Or maybe a forward heavy slash, you get this, as opposed to a 5 heavy slash, you get that. So 5 is simply just neutral, and obviously this depends when you're on this side. Now neutral or forward becomes 4, or 6 becomes backwards. But whenever you watch a guide, just be aware that it's always talking as if you're in the player 1 or on the left. So just to go over it again, 6 is forward, 4 is backwards, and then 5 is just neutral, not moving any direction, and you're just clicking a button. Now here's where the quote-unquote hard part comes in, and this might seem confusing at first when you're told 2-3-6, 2-1-4, cut a circle backwards, a half circle, or a backwards half circle, and all of these are very confusing to you, but this simply is a very easy thing to get down from just repetition. So what I recommend you to do is hop into training mode with whatever character you have, and then just get used to doing these inputs. So for example, for Leo Whitefang, if I click this button normally, heavy slash, which is B, this is what he gets. But if I do 2-3-6 quarter circle forward B, he gets a different move. So just get used to hitting this input or doing the backwards version, right? Just get used to these things, right? Just understand how the game works and things like that. So now that you understand the Numpad notation, you're able to read this totally new language, it's time for you to move on to combos. No, I'm just kidding, definitely don't do that. You have to understand what your character does, what is good in what position, and just how does he move, how does he fight. So for Leo, you want to just hop in and just learn, right? What is his movements? What do his buttons do? What does his 5P do? His 5 punch, right? His neutral punch. What does his 5K do? His neutral kick, as opposed to maybe a 6K, right? As you can see, they are different buttons. Just learn what these buttons do. Which one's good at which range? What happens if you hold these buttons down? What happens if you do a quarter circle forward input plus one of these buttons? What do you get? Right? And the best way to learn that is by going over to any fighting game and you want to click start and then just find something similar to command list. It'll be either called command list, move list, or just something that is very similar to that. Once you're here, you'll see for Leo Whitefang or for May, whoever you have up, here are all of his controls. So if you're doing forward X, and for Guilty Gear it's really nice because you just get this video. In other games like Street Fighter, you'll get kind of an image of what the move should do, but for Guilty Gear I do think it's one of the best. You'll get forward X does this, forward A does this, and it even just explains down here. Due to its fast recovery, it works well as a mid-range poke as well as a way to improve approach the opponent, right? And that's just forward kick, forward A, right? Now this will be easiest for you depending on what input you have. It should change, and then you go over to special attacks and understand what special attacks do. Some characters are a lot more in depth. He has different stances and what happens when you hold them are different properties of the move, etc. But just come in here and read this. You don't need a video to tell you any of this stuff. You might need a video in the future for maybe a more experienced Leia Whitefang player to tell you how to play him or when to use what moves, but at the beginning you just need to know what your character does. So come into here and learn all of these moves. Once you learn what your character does, my personal recommendation, for example for Guilty Gear, is go over back to the command list and scroll to the end and learn system moves. So right here there's dust attacks, and when you click dust attack, for example, it is RB. It can do different things. If you hold it down and then you click up, you actually get this kind of air homing jump, right? If you do forward, you get this thing where you can, you know, just combo off of it, and it just has a lot of different properties, right? It's just, you know, it is universal for every character. Just dust attack, and it's clicked by R1 normally, right? Also learn how to throw, learn what's best for blocking. And it depends on what game you're playing, but typically you just want to always be crouch blocking because lows come out really fast in a game like this. But in a game like Tekken, you're better off stand blocking because lows are the slowest of the moves. So just get used to blocking, and as you can see on my controller, do you see how I'm moving from clicking 1 and down to 2? And you can see Leo doesn't move. So you don't know if you're actually guarding. To crouch block, you have to be moving down, forward, down, and away from your opponent. That's how you block. To stand block, you simply just move away. But be careful. Sometimes you can get caught. If you think you're actually holding, you know, as you can see how much I'm moving my character and he's not moving, you'll think you're guarding, but you're not. You just have to know what you're clicking. Now that you've got that down and this character kind of feels like looking at the back of your hand and you understand everything, it's time for you to learn simple combos. Now don't just go online and search up optimal BNBs and things like that, and you're just going to be like, what the hell, how do I hit that, right? Try and learn some simple things like what moves go into each other. As you can see, I'm simply just clicking Y, Y, B, Y, and, you know, right? Or Y, 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 B. So simply just slash, slash, heavy slash, right? And that's a decent amount of damage, right? Obviously you'll want to, you know, do a combo instead of that, right? But that's not the best way to approach things, because you're gonna spend here 2 hours, 4 hours doing combos against the opponent. However, you get into the game and you're just going to forget it all. Drop that ego and just know this is a common thing for everybody starting out, because when you get into a game, you're gonna be playing against a chaotic opponent. You're not gonna be playing against this Mei who's standing still and giving you the opportunity every time to combo, right? Because you're obviously going to play against some much better players. So my next best advice I can give you is just hop into ranked. You're likely going to lose, you might not lose. Just hop into ranked and understand the feel of the game. How does movement work? How does blocking work? How does a typical player play? How does maybe a character using, you maybe might load in and he's using the same character as you. That might be the best case scenario. You're like, okay, now I know that these two moves go into each other, for example, or now I know that I can do this into this, or this is the best combo, or this is the best way to play this character. And you'll just learn things. Don't just hop in and expect to win. Don't be mad that you lost. Treat everything as a learning opportunity. Fighting games are a hobby, and they're a hobby that take a lot of time to develop, but it doesn't take a lot of time to get into. The main thing you want to do is to have fun. Yes, it's not going to be fun to lose, but it's also not going to be fun to just hop in, try to win, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Now that you've got a feel of the game and you know what your character does in what situation, that's when you want to go and learn your combos. Now a lot of games have maybe combo tutorials, combo trials inside of them, but the best thing you could do is hop onto YouTube or maybe onto a forum or in a Discord and just ask someone, hey, what is the easiest optimal combo I can do, right? And you might want to be doing, like, you know, the flashiest combo, but you know, that comes with experience, of course. But once you got at least one combo down, go back into training again and go back. Don't learn the best combo for when you hit this, or when you maybe get a, I don't know, you get a wall splat or something. Don't learn that. Just learn a combo that you can convert off of all the time and make that combo a habit and get used to it. You'll be able to win a lot of games as long as you understand what's going on, you know what your character does, and you know, like, maybe one, maybe two combos. Now that I've explained it that much, let's just go over it one last time. Start simple, play a little bit every day, and don't worry about being perfect. Just have fun. That's the best way. Play what game looks the dopest to you, whatever character looks the dopest to you. Do the dopest moves. This shit is fun. Just have fun. And if you made it this far, good luck. I hope you don't drop it, and I hope to see you in the lobby one day. And of course, if this guide helped you out, please drop a comment, a like, or even a subscribe, and let me know how it did. And hey, if you play any games, let me know. Maybe we could play up some games too. Peace.